Hi, welcome to my journey. I am getting out for my hour. Today is Sunday, and yeah, the sky is clear. It did get cold last night. It got into the 30s. Yeah, look at this raven. Like, you gonna come and drink water from my property? You better be nice. Yeah, you better. So I'm getting out for my my little excursion that I like to do once a day, which is getting out and making sure that I don't get too so isolated that I feel agoraphobic. Okay, we're not gonna go that route. Okay, that there is just compounding the problem, and we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna get out at least an hour every day if we can, and then see what happens. Hold on. So I suspect that this was probably perfect weather for the BMW marathon that they had going on down here at the White Rock location. Because it's sunny now. Look at all that sun. It's still cold. It's still 50 degrees, but the sun is sunny for real, and it feels good to be in the sun. Makes me want to pick a direction where I could be in the sun. Okay, and that would probably be headed south, east, west, southwest. Yeah, to be in the sun, because it's afternoon. My sinuses are kicking my ass. So congested that I just can't breathe at all. And my heater is not working. The heat is not working. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This time. Ooh, drop down near 10 percentage. Just turned on the heater. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. But it's probably from the chemtrails. Like I said, even though the air looks clean, the sky doesn't traces of the liquid nitrogen behind. Not all of that liquid nitrogen, rides on the air currents, right? Because they try to strategically, use the air currents, to have it snow and rain in the areas where they wanted to snow and rain. Announcing that they had, low cost of living, and foreigners was running over there to try to create some type of, gentrification and exploitation, right? A lot of them, are like, nah, you're not going to be able to keep doing that, right? Spain, Portugal, and Thailand, have decided, to enforce, their visa policy, and yeah, so a lot of people are might be facing deportation because they would go in on a visitor's passport and stay, on purpose over and over to the maximum amount of exception, and, instead of, trying to go in the right way and applying for the right type of visa. Now, these are not the older people. The older people, a lot of them, they have, they have income, right? Most of the older people have some type of income. Some of the younger people can't get in, even though, they might be on disability or whatever, while some of them can, if they're on some type of permanent disability. Which is what a lot of guys, mainly guys, a few women, but mainly guys did, was they were on disability and they decided, to leave the country and go someplace where, they can get more bang for their buck. Hold on. And people don't mind you, getting more bang for your buck, as long as it doesn't involve gentrification and exploitation of a foreign country. Okay? So, in other words, you can go to a foreign country and spend your money there, but going there and then trying to make money, that's illegal on a tourist visa. So, a lot of people, don't want to get caught up prisons and American jails, to foreign prison and jails, they would definitely consider American prisoners pampered for real. So I had to take a triple dose of this allergy medication, hoping that it really works. Because I cannot breathe. My nose is just completely full. The silver line dart. So they got a new line coming out, a silver line. I guess it's not seniors being able to ride free on transit, even though that would be nice, huh? But I really doubt if that's the case. Whew. Put my gloves back on. So the temperature is 42 degrees outside, but it's sunny. Okay? So we have cold weather without the clouds. And the sun feels really good. And when I'm congested like this, I can't smell anything and I can't taste anything. And sometimes I feel like I'm choking because it seems like it drains into the back of my throat, and making it to where, I can't breathe, I can't hear very well, I can't smell at all. It's awful. It's awful. So yeah, I had some serious channeling yesterday. Oh my God, it was wild. What I was channeling, and this is because, I guess you'll say desperate people do desperate things. Okay, and there are people out here as desperate as they were during 2020, and had survived 2020 doing desperate things, and so now they're trying to revert back into doing the same things that they had did in 2020, which was brutal and monstrous and wicked. Okay, and they're hoping that it's going to work for them again. But back then, they didn't believe that people would go to the extents that they went to, where the law was basically a suggestion. They really wanted to believe that, people were basically law-abiding citizens. Okay, they wanted to believe that. And, but situations like what had happened during 2020, it was apparent that people were not the law-abiding citizens that they thought they were. And even though a lot of people got caught, a lot more people got away with their crimes. And every police officer knows that most of the time criminals won't stop until they get caught. Right? And so this is why it's almost, inevitable that so many of them are going to get caught. Because they won't stop until they get caught. I mean, it would be one thing, like they had said a long time ago, and they keep telling them through infomercials, if you are illegal in this country, turn yourself in. Just turn yourself in. Because you're doing illegal things to stay here. You did illegal things to get here, but they know that you're doing illegal things just to stay here also. And I know you're thinking, they'll never find out. But that's what they do when they put you into detention in the ICE centers, right? In the ICE centers, that's where, you get interviewed. They find out where you've been. They find out, who's been helping you. They find out everything, right? How you were making your money. If you were, using fake ID, fake social security cards, all of that. And I know when you were getting away with all that stuff, I guess you just felt like, these people are stupid. And that's why the Republicans are blaming Biden. They're like, Biden is stupid. His administration was stupid. They were the ones that, focused on the wrong thing at the wrong time. And a lot of them can't help but to do that, because a lot of them, they're petty and they're sassy, okay? And they can't help themselves because, they're not in control of their emotions. And they'll even argue to the point that if they see somebody who's in control of their emotions, they'll say that they're emotional, they don't have emotions. And that's not true. We all have emotions. All of us. But emotions can be good or bad. right? And it still comes down to, liberals mad at the fact that, Republicans are conservatives and live their lives, prepping for disaster. And the liberals, live their lives, squandering and being reckless. Calling it fun. Now, the conservatives, they do like their toys. And part of their toys are vehicles. But to them, they're like, well, vehicle is an institution in itself that, can promote money, can help, people to connect with family, to, get around, connect with employers, move here and there, stuff like that. But, the liberals are like, no, we don't need any cars. We don't need roads. Hold on. So, anyway, a video from Britain came down my algorithm. And Britain has decided to regulate the charging of electrical vehicles over there in England. Okay? And they decided that they're only going to allocate 6 hours of overnight charging to people who charge from their homes. And then they're also, in order to regulate and enforce this limitation. I'm sorry, I've got sinus problems. But this limitation doesn't even sound like limitations. It sounds like, anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. What they decided to do was to pay for this enforcement of this restriction to charging your vehicle. Enforcement was to monitor the mileage of electrical vehicles every year, even if it was out of the even if they were to leave the country, because up there, they can just take a ferry and go over to some other, it doesn't take long. Their countries are similar to our states, right? We can go basically state to state, just as they could go like state to country, because their countries are as small as our states. Okay? So yeah. So this guy was saying that even though the price that they're doing it at right now is bearable, right? It's bearable. What they're afraid of is what's going to happen each year. Oh my gosh, people are still shopping for Christmas? Well, yeah, I guess they are. They're still shopping for Christmas. was, interesting. And he had also said that certain charging stations were going to also increase their rates. So now it's starting to make sense to me, because I was instantly downloaded with the idea, like, what is happening to all of these gas stations, right? Because the gas stations are being sold. I'm like, why would they be selling their gas stations? And now it makes sense that the same people that owned and controlled the gas stations, that also was in bed with car dealerships and manufacturers, are now investing in the electrical car industry. They jumped out. They're like, okay, we see that people don't want to, pollute the planet with toxins, and now they've jumped out. Even though some people are still hanging on, to the combustible engine vehicle. They're still hanging on to it. But you'll see that a lot of gas stations are being bought out by independent gas stations. And then, oh my God, I was watching Itchy Boots today, and she was getting ready to leave. Well, anyway, she was on the border of Turkestan or something, or whatever you call it, right? And she had to buy gas out of containers, right? And she had bought 15 gallons out of these containers, but she also had a backup tank, right? The gasoline that she had bought, clogged up her fuel filter. And she had added another, fuel filter along her fuel lines because, she didn't want to have a whole bunch of carburetor problems, right? And she was so glad that she had did that. Because, let me see, fuel, if it's not stored properly, it's got to be stored properly. It's got to be stored properly. If it's not stored properly, then it won't. It will lose its combustion. It will lose its flammability. Okay. I think, if you're going to, they said something like, if you're going to store, gasoline for 2 weeks to a month, then you had to use like gasoline saver or something like that. But I don't think that they had that at that small, grocery store where she had, bought her gasoline that was stored in little liter containers. No, it wasn't. It wasn't stored properly, and it ended up, the gasoline had probably already broken down. There just wasn't enough traffic going through there for them to keep replenishing, the gasoline. Right? So she ended up having to push her motorcycle off of the road, install her backup fuel filter and her backup fuel that she had, just to make it to, the next big city. So this is what we're probably gonna face ourselves, as people are, trying to figure out, what they're gonna do about the gasoline. Some people, they figure, people will never give up on gasoline cars, or never, right? And that, if they buy low, and people go back to gasoline, right? And just like even myself, I'm like, my goodness, almost $2.10 a gallon for gasoline makes me want to have, a gasoline car, because, when you have a electrical car, there is a lot of inconveniences. Because number one, it is typical that, we charge our car at home for like hours and hours and hours. Right, overnight. We just charge our car overnight, and hopefully when we wake up, our car would be, fully charged. Right? Now, there is a vehicle out there, I can't remember, I think it might be a Kia. There's a vehicle out there that allows you to carry your own charging station with you, an additional charging station. And I was like, what the hell is that, right? And they're not pointing it out, but it is depicted in the infomercial. Right, that they have, went to a campsite, they pulled out the charging station, the car's being charged up, they're relaxing at the campsite, like that. So, I don't know, how they manufactured a portable charging station, and that's something that I'm gonna have to further look into, because I was amazed, because I seen one commercial. I thought it was kind of first I thought it was like a little joke, right? But then they made another commercial, different commercial, and I'm like, no, it's not a joke. There's a manufacturer out there that allows you to have a portable charging station, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, if they can have a portable charging station, then it only makes sense that AAA should also have that portable charging station, just in case people need charged, you know, or, you know, rescue charger. Yeah, rescue charger, you know, that could be a business. Because, you know, we don't know and we can't tell, you know, exactly, you know, how long a charge will last. It depends on the weather. It depends on how fast we're driving. It even depends on the road. Depends on if you have the heat on. It depends on if you have your lights on. Depends on if you have, you know, the radio on. You know, it just depends. But yeah. So that was one of the things that was one of the videos that I had shared on my Facebook page, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, they are happy to a certain degree, you know, with, you know, the electrical cars, right? Because like I said, you know, I come from California. I know how bad the smog was. It was really, really bad. Right? It was blocking the sun. That's how bad it was. Now, the last time I went to California driving, I think it was, in 2021 or 2020, somewhere in there, 2020 or 2020. Anyway, I drove to California, right? Because I literally drove coast to coast, right? I went to Atlanta, then I turned around and then came back, and then went to LA, then I came back to Texas. You know, just enjoying my freedom. That's what I was doing. I was enjoying my freedom. And I had a lot on my mind. Okay? I had a lot on my mind because a lot of bullshit had happened. And I couldn't believe that nobody wanted to do anything to stop the bullshit. I was amazed. I was confused. I was dazed. Okay? And it took me a lot of, you know, driving around, you know, to even come to terms with, you know, where I thought our society was headed as a result. Okay? Because it's obvious. Anytime things happen at the top, especially, well, if it happens at the top, then it's happening all the way down through the ranks to the bottom. That's just how that works. It doesn't necessarily happen in reverse, although it could if it's happening down at the bottom, because you could be seeing a pathway of corruption that has happened at the bottom that has worked its way down to the bottom. Most of the time, there's just not enough, you know, there's just not enough power at the bottom to really create any kind of corruption. Well, we have corruption to this degree, it happens at the top. You understand? It's kind of like for it to be at this level, it needed fuel. It needed expansion. It needed, and you just aren't going to find that kind of fuel, at the bottom of the forest. You're just not. Now, I already know I don't need to be going out here. So we're headed back. But I wanted to ride in the sunshine, right? And the sun was already on the south. So I was riding in the sunlight just to keep warm, because it is 42 degrees. Beautiful, but it still is pretty damn cold. There's clear skies, and technically the reason why I don't think this is natural is because for it to be cold like this, we would have had to have received a cold current from the north, right? And yeah, that didn't really happen. I mean, it was a little windy last night, not much, but it was a little windy last night. And it's so clear you can see Dallas from here. So yeah, and I know my tree still has a bunch of leaves still on it. These trees still have a bunch of beautifully colored leaves on it. And like I said, this type of cold weather is not natural. Not after having 60-degree temperatures previously for about a week or two or more, okay? So try to figure out how far I can really go at 70 miles an hour in this vehicle. I wouldn't mind doing a test like that if I had a charging station with me. But I wouldn't want to do no kind of test like that. out the United States to a maximum of 55 miles an hour. We did, right? And slowly, the men's have been raising the speed limit all over the place. You remember, first it was to conserve gasoline. Then it was to, help the environment. And then men were like, they didn't want to go anywhere if they couldn't go 80, 90 miles an hour. So yeah, that was one of the things, that have really, hit me in the gut. Was like, okay, the registration fee had hit me in the gut, right? It did. It hit me in the gut. $300 just to register my car, right? It hit me in the gut the first time, where, it came to our attention that there was an extra $200 registration fee for an electrical vehicle. Right? And, basically trying to figure out, well, why did they need to, who justified, charging the people, $200 electrical vehicles registration, right? Extra above the $75 that was required on any other vehicle. Okay. Now, when I turned away from the sun, right? When I turned away from the sun, it seemed like my battery was going down a lot faster than I realized, because my charge light has come on. And it's blinking at me. And it's going down fast. It's going down fast. Right? And that was something that I didn't understand. I'm like, well, why does it say, you have X amount of charge and not miles? Why wasn't the vehicle letting me know how many miles I could go rather than letting me know, how fast my battery is draining? I didn't understand. I still don't understand it. It's definitely a beautiful day, and I'm glad I got out. And now all I need to do is make sure I make it home without running out of charge. Now that's another thing I don't know about electrical vehicles. Will the electrical vehicle continue to run until you turn the vehicle off? Right? And if that's the case, will the electrical circuitry get damaged in the process? These are things that I don't know. But it's something that, if you have electrical vehicle or considering buying electrical vehicles, because they have mass-produced electrical vehicles, right? And yes, electrical vehicles are perfect for local commuting. They're perfect, right? They're perfect for our cities and parks and stuff because, you know, there's no fumes, right? So and like I said, you know, it's only been within the last few years that they decided to start raising back up the speed limit, because I believe it used to be nationwide 55. You know, there was so many car accidents, so much drinking and driving, and, you know, bad road conditions and stuff like that, you know, that, yeah, you know, it could take you a while, but shit, you going a lot faster than if you was driving a horse and buggy. And the faster you go, the more fuel you burn up. Just like the faster I go, the more electricity I burn up. Trying to make it home now. I'm trying to figure out, should I turn on my hazard lights and just go like 45 miles? You know, basically warn people that, hey, I can't go no faster. Because I'm telling you, it's draining fast. Since I had the vehicle, you know, just drained it out. I don't know what that's like. And I think it would be horrible for it to happen with, you know, these type of temperatures. Right? These temperatures of 40 degrees. Being stuck out in this kind of temperature is not good. It is not good at all. Yeah, I turned on my hazards. You can hear them. Because it's draining fast. It's draining real fast. That fast when I was driving towards the sun. So, but I was also on slower highways. You know, this highway that I'm on now, the speed limit is 70 miles an hour. Ain't no way I can go 70 miles an hour. Ain't no way. Like I said, I don't even know how far I could go trying to go 70 miles an hour in this car. But right now, I feel like I'm just going to be coasting if I make it home. And with all of that traffic, it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea to try to just go ahead and get into traffic, because it would be stop and go, and it won't be going the traffic speed limit. It's just, I'm afraid it might get so low so fast that I didn't know if the car would just cut out, and I don't want it to be cut out on the highway. And if it's going to cut out, I want it to cut out like on the road. Because that traffic is backed up for at least 3-4 miles. Because people are out here shopping. Yeah, they're out here shopping. Why do they build up this little area? What I could do, damn, people are really trying to hit that mall area. What I could do is see if I could get a charge before going home, even though I don't want to. Right? I don't want to, but I'm afraid that I won't be able to make it home. You see, that's my dilemma. And even though there's a lot of car dealerships along the highway, I already seen how some of them, have made it like impossible to even charge at their facility. Right? But they had charging stations at their facilities, making it seem like these are charging stations that would probably be available for people who have charging needs, but then they're not wanting to make it available to just anybody that, just anybody that can pay for it. So the closest one that I had seen, was at Cracker Barrel. because I'm at 0 according to the vehicle. It says Walgreens. 4 miles. Damn. It says it's busy. Let's see. Now there used to be one at Cracker Barrel. But Cracker Barrel is definitely not that close unless you're on the highway. Damn, it says 14 minutes to go 5 miles? Huh?
Head north on Gus Thomason Road toward North Mesquite Drive.
Okay, this isn't funny at all. It's not funny at all. I'm panicking. And I don't even see Cracker Barrel on this app, which makes me wonder, did they damage this charging station that used to be at Cracker Barrel? Right? This is really crazy. So here's my problem though. If I go over here to this one on at this Walgreens, right? If I go over there and it's busy, right? Because it said it was busy. What happens if my battery dies while I'm waiting to get a charge? So many questions and no answers. So I want to ask Google. Does Cracker Barrel still have a charging station?
Yes, many Cracker Barrel locations have EV charging stations. These stations often use networks like EVGO and offer both level 2 and DC fast chargers. You can use apps like PlugShare or ChargeHub to find specific locations with chargers.
So why wasn't it picking it up here on the map? So this Walgreens is here at Oaks, right? And Oaks is also the road that if I go west will take me to Cracker Barrel. But I think Walgreens is right on the corner. Like I said, the only thing that I'm worried about is my battery dying while I'm waiting to get a charge, because it said it was busy, right? And I've seen some situations where, you know, cars were like dead, you know, at the charging station parking lot. And I couldn't figure out why. Why was it dead at the parking lot? So here's Walgreens. Is there a charging station here? Doesn't look like it. See no charging stations here. Ain't no charging stations here. So now I'm wondering, can I coast down here to Cracker Barrel and they have a working charging station? This is not what I wanted to test today. I did not want to test the battery at all today. I just wanted to go for a nice little ride. And I know I have done this loop before on a charge, and it didn't drop this fast. So the cold weather definitely took some of my charge away. is really like within 2 miles, 3 miles of my home. But like I said, I'm just too afraid of not even making it home because it doesn't register that I have any charge at all. Even though I'm still moving. I'm still moving. So hopefully this charging station is working. They haven't tore it up. Okay. Oh no, they tore it up. It is not working. Yep. They tore it up for real. That's what they did. They tore it up. See, that's the type of stuff that they do, right? They'll tear something up, like air compressors, free air compressors at gas stations. They'll tear it up, right? Chargers, I guess they're tearing that up too. Because this is not the first. I was wondering how come this charger was not registering on the map. And now I see why it's not registering on the map, because they tore it up. And I would try to go down this way, which is closer to my house, but they're doing road construction on the highway. Making it impossible to cross over the freeway. Now, if these people at the car dealerships were allowing people to charge at their charging stations, because we went by there, we seen they had charging stations. It wouldn't be such a grave problem. But what I had seen was that they were parking their brand new vehicles in front of these charging stations, so people just couldn't just pull up and use their charging stations. Whether they could pay for them or not, I don't think was the issue. The issue was they just didn't want people using their charging stations, because they had a charging station at Honda. They're supposed to have a charging station at Nissan also, but it wasn't registering. registering any of these charging stations at dealerships. As being available. So it's saying that the closest one is still 4 miles away on Garland Road. And my house is probably a mile and a half away. So we got our fingers crossed that we can coast on into the garage with no incident. But this is the first time I've ever drove with it indicating that I don't have any charge left. Okay. So yeah, I'm riding around with my blinkers on because I'm afraid it might stop at any time. I just don't know. It's new to me. And I have to use the restroom. And I don't know why every time I get in a car, I have to drive, with coffee. And coffee makes it very hard to hold your bladder. It definitely just tickles your bladder for real. So I'm coasting.